Okay, loves, this is my first episode in 2023 and I'm so excited. So I was sitting in a car and we were driving around and I was like listening to Joe Dispenza. So at this moment in my life, I'm totally into Joe Dispenza. I have these periods. Then I'm like totally like in the beginning of my like entrepreneurship, I was like really into Abraham Hicks. Like for years, I was like a diehard Abraham Hicks fan. I would like listen to every single thing they created, and it just became part of my DNA. This is what I do, right? This is really what fits my design as well. I'm a 1-3, so the one in me loves to dive deep into stuff. And I have this gift of translating whatever it is that I take in on a very practical way. So the way my business got very successful at the beginning of my career was because I sort of translated all that law of attraction stuff on a level that people could finally relate. They were like, oh my goodness, so now I understand. So I have this gift of making things practical. And I notice this as well in all of my portals. Like I'm really into branding right now. I work with a lot of manifesting generators and with projectors. I have a lot of projectors and manifesting generators in my area right now. And I'm really into branding. So I sort of like developed this method of how to use branding to actually like reinvent yourself as a person, as a business, and really unlock your true talents and gifts. It's really cool. It's really fun. So I'm currently doing that right now. And I'm also, like I said, really into Joe Dispenza. So whenever I have time, I will listen to Joe. I have all his in-depth courses and I'll listen and I'll listen and I'll listen. And I'll do it at night when I go to bed. I do it in like every moment that I just have available, I do it. And I think the reason why, like, I think this really sets like us apart from like other people. Like some people will like listen to self-development stuff because they feel like they have to, like for example, if you're on a diet, people will start eating certain things because they feel like they have to do that in order to live healthy. But for me, this is not a diet. This is not something I do because I have to do it. This is part of my DNA. I love self-development. I love growing myself literally, right? Because like I'm a psychologist. I graduated cum laude as a psychologist in 2007, I believe, or 2008. I always have those times mixed up. Doesn't matter. I graduated cum laude, and when I was a student at the university as a psychologist, we had this class called neuroscience, and I freaking loved that. I loved understanding the neuroscience of things. So when I found Joe Dispenza, and it's so interesting because I've heard of Joe for the longest time, but it never really resonated with me. And I don't even know how he got on my path again, but I found him, I got hooked, and I was like, oh my God, I freaking love this because he is so into the neuroscience of the transformation, right? So when I listened to his in-depth courses, I realized like there are a lot of people who do not have the patience to listen to all of this stuff because it's literally like I'm in school again. I'm like in college again, listening, and trying to reproduce the stuff that he teaches me so I can then integrate it. And just now he showed this very interesting image of two neurons who were like finding the connection. And the images that he shows are so interesting because you finally understand, like, oh my God, this is what happens when we learn new things. When we learn new things, those two neurons actually connect and we make a new connection. It's the aha moment, how he explains it. Well, that wasn't really the trigger for this episode. What was really the trigger for this episode, that I was in the car and I all of a sudden got this intuitive hit while I was listening to Joe Dispenza. And I was like, oh my God, I now finally understand why it's so freaking difficult for us humans to change our behavior. And I've always known this at a certain level, but every time we go through these cycles, we learn more things, right? So if I go back a couple of years ago, I even gave some webinars about neuroscience and change, because I was into it back then as well. But like I said, we go through these phases and then circles, and then I get like, I don't know, I get more in-depth information, and that's like, I'm now literally having this more in-depth information. And like, this is so freaking interesting, because like, we as humans, we are built in a way that we want to survive. Yes, that's like the core thing. We want to survive, we want to survive, and we want to survive. So change is always super, super uncomfortable for us. It goes beyond uncomfortable. It's not about being comfortable. It's like literally our whole system tells us not to change, because change is scary. Okay, so then he talks about this thing about infertility, and he literally says the thing that I have been wanting to tell women for years, because I have felt it in my bones for years. Fertility, a lot of the time, and I'm not saying this goes for everybody, but a lot of the time, it is simply due to the fact that your body is still in stress. And once you're in stress, once your body is in stress, it is not the time to get a baby, to build a baby, right? So this is how it works. For example, when you go in labor, if there is any threat going on in your life, you will not go into labor, because it's not safe to deliver a child when you are in labor. Okay? So stress literally prevents us from growing new things. And what if we want a new life, if we want a new situation, it is super, super important to know in our heart, our body like literally needs to know, I am safe in this new experience. And this is where it becomes interesting. And you notice my voice changing, because here is where it starts to get interesting. We need to know that we are safe. And stress is literally addictive. It literally is. We are addictive to stress. That's how simple it is. So once we start changing ourselves and things get more comfortable and you move towards your goal, and I truly believe that's the reason why a lot of people do not reach their goals, because by the time they get towards their goal, their body is like, whoa, wait a second, girlfriend. This is getting way too much. How should I describe this? This is getting way too much fun. You're way too happy. What are you doing? You are not used to being happy on every area in your life. What are you doing? Let's create some drama again. Let's go back into old patterns. And that is what we call self-sabotage, right? So once we become aware of this pattern, that's when we can actually break it, right? Once we can witness ourselves doing it, and once we can start telling ourselves like, ho, let's just see what happens. Okay, I'm stepping into my old program again. My body is literally craving drama again. But what if I just decide that I'm not going to believe anything that my mind tells me? What if I just decide that I don't believe any of the bullshit my mind feeds me? And then it's when it becomes interesting, right? So I've been practicing this for a while now, and I'm like for years actually. And like I said, I go deeper and deeper and deeper into this stuff, and I'm absolutely loving it. But this intuitive hit just hit me in the car like, oh my God, it is so comfortable for people to stay in their comfort zone, because they're just like, they're programmed that way. And it really takes you being aware of that pattern to break it. So for example, I have like multiple women in my energy field that always sort of linger around my offers, and they're interested, and they do, like, they have one foot in, they are interested, they're sending me this message like, oh my God, Soph, I want to know more. And then at the end they're like, oh no, I'm too scared. I'm not gonna do it, right? That's literally just because their system is like, it is too scary. I can't deal with the unfamiliarness. But once we understand that we are not living in a world that a lion is chasing us, and there's nothing dramatically going to happen when we actually just step into this new reality, it becomes so interesting. So I really want to invite you today to start telling yourself that you are ready for the unfamiliarness, and just watch how uncomfortable that actually is to say. Because whenever I say that to myself, unconsciously I'm thinking, oh my God, but maybe I'm triggering something that I don't want, right? That's what the mind starts telling. Because we are so used to that pattern, right? We are used to that pattern. But we are safe in the unfamiliarness. And yes, you don't get this overnight. And yes, it takes work, it takes practice. But oh my God, you so got this, and you so deserve everything you desire. And there's nothing out there that is actually preventing you from getting every single thing you desire. I did this amazing interview the other week. Last week, somebody interviewed me for their podcast. It was in Dutch, so only my Dutch followers can understand it, or can listen to it. It will be released pretty soon. And she was asking me this question. She was like, what is the difference between somebody who is making 100K months and somebody who's not? I'm like, the only difference is that the 100K person believes that she can do anything she wants. I literally believe I can do anything I want. I do not know how I can do anything I want. I don't know. No, I absolutely do not have all the answers to that. But I do believe I can do anything I want. And she literally asked me, how do you become that person? I'm like, I don't know. If I would have known, I would have been there already. So in order for me to become the 100K a month person, I literally have to become somebody I don't know. And I am so excited to become that person that I don't know. I'm excited to do things out of my comfort zone. I'm excited to do all these new things because that's what my new personality does. I know what my old personality can do. It brought me very far, and it came with a lot of blessings and also with a lot of things that I didn't like anymore. And now I'm ready for that next chapter. And this next chapter is this new version. So how comfortable are you with being uncomfortable? I guess that's the question for today. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk soon. Okay, loves. If you like this episode, I would love for you to leave a 5-star ranking on iTunes and a review if you are drawn to that. And I wish you an amazing day. Goodbye.